Hi everybody, welcome to today's version of Bourbon and Bullshit. What's up, guys? Hi, welcome to this episode of Bourbon and Bullshit, a StorSuite special. We're highlighting a Rowan's Creek again today with a buddy of mine, David Allen. I'll let him introduce himself here in a second, but how long have we known each other now?
11 years.
That's what I was going to say.
11 years.
I was going to say 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, as you know, I live in Texas. David lives in
Toronto, Canada.
In Toronto, Canada. So I thought our episode this time would be the perfect time to do it with all the shit that's going on.
Because there's absolutely nothing going on between Canada and the U.S. right now.
Nothing going on with Canada and the U.S. So anyway, I poured you a glass of the Rowan's Creek. And the funniest part about this whole thing is that the Canadian, what do they call it?
The LCBO? The Liquor Control Board of Ontario.
Took all American bourbons, whiskeys, anything, every alcohol, took it off the shelf.
California wine, we can't buy any of it. But.
So I figured I'd help a brother out and get you some bourbon while you're here.
And the crazy thing is, the LCBO is apparently the single largest purchaser of alcohol in the world.
That's nuts.
It's crazy how much booze they must order and how much we must drink.
No, it's crazy how much booze you guys drink. Is what it is. So.
But yeah, bourbon. I mean, from what I understand, bourbon is just like a less good version of Canadian rye, right?
No. That's bullshit right there. So, less than a Canadian rye.
I thought you guys love Canadian Club.
No.
America drinks more Canadian Club than Canada does.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I do not. I don't even think I have a Canadian Club in my collection. I actually have one.
Lies.
I have one that my father-in-law gave us and then passed away. That's how old people drink Canadian Club.
Okay.
So anyway, this is Rowan's Creek. It's made by Willett out of Kentucky. You smell it. You'll smell some really good vanillas.
Yeah, vanilla, sweet, orange peel.
A little bit of orange peel, right? So I always say the second sip tastes the best because the first one cleanses your palate, right? So on your second one, you're going to get a vanilla caramel brown sugar, like boom, a little.
It's kind of a nice. It's a nice warmth though.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it
so
is.
this is 100 proof, so like a bottle and bond would be. It's just I like anything between a 95 and a 105 in proof. Your less than 90s are a little bit weak for me. So in that second one, you get a little bit of honey, a lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel, a little bit of brown sugar.
Sherry cask.
No, just a regular. So it's just like it's a charred oak barrel.
Charred oak.
Yep. So
that's delicious.
It's good.
That is delicious.
Yeah. So this is one of the basic and standards. Like when people ask me, what should I buy as a decent bourbon, I always say Rowan's Creek. Like everybody goes to Buffalo Trace products and stuff like that. I always say Rowan's Creek, or I'll say a bottle of Chattanooga whiskey. So,
and how much would this be per bottle?
I pay $55 for that here in Florida. Back home, it's right around $49-ish. It's a little bit more expensive here than it is back in Texas.
Independent producer, or because I understand that bourbons, there's a lot of bourbons that are all made in the same place, and they just kind of have their own branding.
So this is made by Willett. So Willett they're pretty famous for their ryes. That's what they're famous for. And I love ryes. I absolutely love ryes. American ryes.
Potato.
So they're really famous for their ryes. And like you can spend on a good 15-year rye on Willett, you can spend $300, $400, $500 on a bottle. So enjoy.
Cheers.
God, that's good. All right. So, who are you? What do you do?
David Allen. We have a family self-storage company in Canada called Apple Self-Storage. We have 54 facilities with 2.4 million feet that we own or operate. We own sites. We do a little bit of third-party management. I joined the company about 11 years ago, sort of when we met.
Yep.
And we had 10 sites at the time, and we've sort of added 4 sites a year through very slow and steady growth on both family account and third-party management, and that's sort of been our trajectory over the last 11 years. Is we just have that sort of one site a quarter, and we've slowly built up to where we are. And so we're one of Canada's largest operators, still family-owned, and we do a little bit of outside equity and there's limited partner equity, but for the most part it's family-controlled company.
You know, what I know is, since you've been on board, how much it's grown, right? And what do you think your biggest pain point in scaling from 10 to 50 has been?
I would say, it's interesting. I think growth is lumpy. I think that's how we would describe it. I think our big challenges was going from, we didn't have many growth issues until we got to 20 sites. So going from 10 sites where we were, which we basically bought a portfolio. So we had an exit in 2007, and then we sort of went from one site that we didn't sell, and then we went back up to 10 because we bought a portfolio. So we kind of had that big growth, and and so that came with a lot of the staff and the regional managers and everything else, but we still had a lot of that structure from before. But then we didn't have many issues until we got to 20 sites. At 20 sites, everything changed. And it's hard to explain exactly what it is, but all of a sudden we had to bring in mid-level management, or we had to expect more from our mid-level management. That was a big thing. We originally had one person that was doing our VP operations, who was doing an enormous amount of work, but because he was really doing everything. And then his regional managers under him were sort of they were assisting him. And then once we got to that 20 site level, it was too much for one person to do. So all of a sudden we had to ask more of the regional managers, and that's a huge shift.
Oh yeah.
So when you have regional managers who, you're not asking a whole lot from, other than to deal with customer issues, and you're asking them sort of, business intelligence questions, you're asking them to do reporting. That's a huge learning curve. And then once you get past that 20 and you get up to 50, we're in another really tough point of growth right now. We have to redo all of our structures, right? All of our reporting systems. Now we're to the point, just as an example, our lead attribution, we're just brute forcing our lead attribution all the way back so we can track back where it's coming from. And when we get 10,000 phone calls a month, all of a sudden, that's different.
It's real data though at that point.
Yeah, and it's different from doing it with 2,500 calls a month when you have 15 sites, right? And so it's
you can really find out a customer behavior on 10,000.
Yeah.
Where if you had one store and you're getting 100.
You can figure out customer behavior on 10,000 calls if you can deal with the data associated with 10,000 calls.
Yes.
That's the hard part.
Correct.
Right? Is that you can have
how you organize it.
You can have co-ops in the background doing calls on analyzing the data on 2,500 calls. You don't want 10 co-ops doing the work on 10,000 calls because it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
There's not enough oversight that you can do it, so all of a sudden you have to start building in real systems to manage that. And so growth is lumpy, right? And somebody told me that, and I was like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, and now I'm doing it, and I believe it. Where it's you can kind of go from 1 to 5 sites, I think, and then 5 to 15 or 20, and then that 20 to 50, and then over 50. I don't know where the next hurdle is, maybe 75, maybe 100.
So it's funny you say that, because obviously we both talk to a lot of people in the industry, right? And I've always heard that 15 to 25 sites is the biggest hurdle to get over, right? 15, you're too small. You got one district manager, one regional manager, maybe 2, couple support people. And then you get to 25, and now you need 3, 4, 5 people. Then you get to 50, and it becomes scalable. I think probably your next hurdle is 100. Is my guess.
But once you get to 50, the other thing that I've noticed is if you're running your business and you get to 50 sites, you lose sight of what's happening. You lose visibility of what's happening at the site level.
At your level, you do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At 25,
yeah.
At 25, you might still be able to see what's happening on a day-to-day basis at the site level. But at 50, even if you get daily reports, in order to spend the time to read and analyze and think about 50 daily reports, that's a bad way for you to spend your time at that point.
And trying to replace yourself with a high-level thinker, particularly in a family a family operation like yourself, it's got to be somebody you trust.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody that drives those data points the way you would drive those data points. Building out a team of trustworthy people for that scale, for you and I both, has probably been the hardest thing.
It's hard.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely tough.
Yeah. And I would say the other thing is, we're going through this process right now, is for the first time we're putting I don't know how to describe this, because it's kind of embarrassing to describe that this is the first time we're doing it, but for the first time we're putting a proper strategy in place.
It's funny, we're doing the same thing at StorSuite, right? We merged all the companies together.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if you watch Marcus Lemonis on TV. So he's the one that rolled out Camping World, all the RV stores that sell RVs. and he's a billionaire, and he goes in and buys these businesses, and he talks about 3 pieces to the business, and that is people, product, and processes. And when you scale like you're doing, you have to always look at your process. One, make sure that you got the right person on the bus, put them in the right seat, get them to do the right job, and building out a process almost institutional like one of the REITs would do or something like that. And then you got to continually analyze that process as you grow. You outgrow the process too.
Yeah, that's our experiences. I mean, first of all, so it's interesting because as part of our modernization, so I was working in the business for 10 years, and then I took over as president a year and a half ago.
Yep.
A year ago, right? It's so cliche that you have a new, young, like second generation guy coming in, taking over, and the first thing I do is like change everything and want to modernize our process and want to do all this kind of stuff. And so, I mean, it's a family business, and so my dad and my uncles kind of like roll their eyes a little bit, I think, but they're like quite supportive of what I'm trying to do. But really, in my mind, what we're doing is we're taking a very analog business and we're taking it into the digital world, right? There's a modernization process that has to happen. I mean, we weren't still doing yellow pages. We really didn't know that.
And you say that U.S. isn't in front of Canada, and you're still doing yellow pages?
Oh, we still have one market that uses yellow
Oh,
pages.
Jesus
In Canada.
God.
Oh yeah, no, we do. We still have one market.
So,
that we
Bourbon and Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit
No,
on that. You need to
people still use it.
Really?
Yeah, one market in Canada. I'm not telling you which one.
I bet you everybody's over 65 years old.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
That's crazy.
but
Do
yeah.
they still print the book?
yeah, they still print it.
Oh,
It
that's
still exists.
nuts.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening here in America and Canada, this is why they don't like us. Shit.
But yeah, so last year we went through the process and we hired a bunch of really smart people from outside of the industry who've done really great things within our organization. But at the end of last year, they came to me and they're like, hey, are we going to get a strategy document? Like, what are the big rocks that we're going to try to do next year, right? Like,
Yep.
how do we, like, and really what they were asking was, what does good look like?
Yep.
Within my job, I want to be able to take the strategy of the business and figure out what good looks like for me and my team.
Yep.
Which is a great ask, but it's something that we've never asked ourselves.
So what month of the year do you do that?
Awesome. This is our first year doing it. So we did it over the course of the quarter because I didn't want to rush it out.
First quarter?
Yeah. So we
That's
started,
funny. We did it in fourth quarter last year.
and we should have,
Yeah.
because we should have started at the end of last year.
Right. So you started the first of the year.
So we could have started the first of the year, but they asked
So
us.
if it helps you, we just started reviewing that document that we created in the fourth quarter last week on our call. So,
Okay, so-
it's March already.
Yeah. So anyway, so
we put it in place, but didn't address
Okay,
it. For
that makes
60
me feel.
days.
But, so yeah, so they asked us in December, and now we spent, as the executive team, we spent a bunch of time building a strategy document. And so now we have the strategy document, and so what we did is we break it down into like, sort of the big rocks, right? Like we have the actual strategy now. We have 3 things, and on each thing, we have internal alignment, external alignment, choice, which means, with every choice of strategy, you need to specifically identify what things you're not going to do.
Yes.
What does this mean, right? Like,
Yes.
if you're going to be implementing this, it means there's a choice of what you're not going to be doing. So we had to, identify what we didn't want to do, and then we're leaving it up to our divisions to create the tactics to implement that. What I didn't realize about creating a strategy document was how many times I was going to have to repeat it. I've repeated this document 1,000 times at every level within our organization. But it's one of those things that we're really trying to do in order to help people understand that this is really what we need. Like, this is what we want to do. So everybody within the organization can see the big rocks and understand what good looks like for them in order to deliver on these things. So by the end of the year, that's really what we're trying to do. But interestingly, in the process, as we set this strategy now at 54 sites, because we're doing all this higher level work, we lose visibility of what's happening lower, not lower in the organization, but at the site level. And that's been really hard for everybody in the organization.
So what you're going to find, though, is getting that systematic approach or organized process to filter down all the way to the bottom is one of the hardest cultural things that you'll be able to do. Have you ever been in a Chick-fil-A here in the United States?
I don't think we have Chick-fil-A's in Canada.
Yeah.
If we do, we just got them. I know, I've never been.
All right, so what they say all the time, everybody.
We also just got Shake Shack.
Did you?
It opened like a few months ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I've never been there either.
Yeah, they call it a steak burger or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Okay.
So at Chick-fil-A, instead of saying thank you or you're welcome or anything like that, they always say my pleasure. That's their big thing. Is they always say my pleasure. guess how long that one thing took for them to change the culture of their company for everybody to say my pleasure?
6 years.
6 years. You're dead on. I swear to God. Good guess. It took them 6 years just to get everybody to say my pleasure.
I clearly have a lot of experience dealing with the strategy stuff.
Yes.
Because, my God, I'm thinking this is going to take me 6 years to get this stuff right.
One thing.
Yeah.
Wait till you try doing all the
I know, I'm
things.
feeling it. I'm in it. Yeah,
Oh my
I'm in it
God,
right
yeah.
now.
So, as you know, merging all these companies together under StorSuite brand, I thought it would be so much easier than what it was. And it's not been.
Yeah.
And the number one thing is to get everybody's behavior in a positive way, in a positive culture, to work towards executing at XYZ level. Our culture is a very people-first culture. So I always ask everybody, what's that mean to you? What does people first mean to you? So we ask that all the time internally. And people first to me means who am I serving? And what you'll realize quickly is that you're serving everybody. You're serving your boss, you're serving your people, you're serving your clients, you're serving your investors, you're serving the end user, person that rents a storage space from us. If you look around, that means every single day you wake up and have to serve a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Try to get 80 employees like we have now to think like that.
I got a quiz for you.
Sure,
Were you in Tim Dietz's keynote today?
I was not.
So this is the 50th anniversary of the SSA.
That's great.
The first year, do you know what they called the very first conference?
Right.
The Self-Service Storage Association.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about service.
Yeah, and here we are 50 years
It's
later.
going right back to the
and we're
beginning of
going
the
back to
SSA.
service.
Back to the beginning.
I'll tell you one of the things that I recognized and why StorSuite became is I feel that our industry has walked away from the service of things. So vendor to vendor, if I'm doing your marketing website or print material or SEO or anything for you as a service provider like StorSuite is, I think we've walked away from the service aspect of it. And in other words, we may or may not, the vendors in our industry, even give you a report on that data. We may or may not even give you a phone call every month. What we do is we go create a dashboard and tell you to log into the dashboard and get the information yourself. And the service goes out the window. So our company has been built around people first and having that service. That's the good news. The bad news is it's very labor intensive then. You have a lot of people and you have automation, but you got to teach the people the automation too.
Can I offer a counterpoint?
Yes, that's why I do this podcast.
Something that I think,
God damn, that's good.
it is good. So as a vendor, we play different roles in the industry. Right?
Yes.
I'm
on
you do both. But from a vendor perspective, and from sort of an operator perspective, we play a bit of a different role. And I think that like one of the things that I feel, and I can't quite describe it, but the last few years I've felt this is as an owner, I think that it's the vendor's responsibility. Like the vendor has a responsibility to yes, sell me a service. But the reason you're selling me a service is so that I can provide a better experience or better service to my customers.
Absolutely.
I'm a retail company.
Yeah, so am I. Absolutely.
And so I go directly to that retail customer and I'm trying to get $100 at a time.
Yep.
And so when you look at, I got 24,000 customers that I'm churning 5% a month. So every month, I need to backfill those customers that are moving out. And I think that a lot of vendors in the industry have lost that second step, and they see me as the final piece. They see what they want to do is they want to provide me good service so that I pay them. And they don't think about the flow through. They don't think about the experience that I provide to my customer. So much of it, we get into this I'm not gonna name any names, but our FMS, we cannot tailor the invoices that we throw at, or the invoices that we put out to our customers. We cannot customize them in order to reflect our brand. So our customers are getting a bad customer experience, and the vendor doesn't necessarily think that that's a big deal because they don't think about the customer experience.
Yeah, they're catering to you, not to your end
They're
user.
getting this TXT document from us, which is brutal to read. It gets flagged by junk filters all the time. And it's not branded, so it's not helping me create a brand in order to deliver an excellent customer experience. It comes to me and it stops with me. I don't realize that it has to flow through to the end user. I think that's a big gap. And so when we're talking about service, the vendor doesn't realize that they're providing a service to me to provide a better service to my customer. There's 2 points of communication.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's a really important thing for vendors to remember in the industry.
So, as you see in business, you see a lot of pendulums swing back and forth, and our industry starts swinging to that full tech stack, remote, all that swing towards not utilizing people, but utilizing tech in some way, shape, or form to replace the people. I recognize that as a problem in our industry, and I started swinging it back. And our motto is to use tech, because we have tech in our platform, some pretty decent tech. And I keep saying we're going to use the tech to support the people, not to replace the people. And to your point, if we can build that tech out to better your services as the end user, instead of offering you a good service, offering them a better service, I think I might steal your idea and beat that drum.
Well, and a drum that I've been beating for a long time now is like, I hear people talking about data-driven decision making, and I'm like, that's the wrong way to think about this, because the data isn't going to drive any decisions. All the data does is inform you as a human to make the decisions that's relevant to your customers. And so, like,
I've always said that the data shows behavior. So if you're looking at data, it shows a behavior.
Yeah, it shines a light on the behavior.
Yes.
The behavior is there, like whether you're looking at it or not.
It's for us to train the behavior to be different, or request it to be different.
But you got to see the behavior first.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And so
you got to know what the behavior is from the data.
Like that's what the data is doing. I mean, the behavior is there. It's there whether you can see it or not. Right. It's like air's here. Right. It's happening.
Yeah.
But then what happens is all of a sudden, the data that we have access to now is shining this big spotlight on this ugly thing that we see now. And before we didn't see it, so we didn't have to deal with it.
Yep.
But now it's there, and we can't ignore it. But now we have to. Now, as a human, we have to choose to make a decision. The data is not making that decision for us.
It is absolutely not making that
So
decision.
we need to be able to make that decision as a human for humans. And this is the whole thing, right? Like, we're not replacing people, but what we are enabling is the people to make better decisions because of the better information that they now have available to them.
Yep.
And I'm like, I've said this for a long time, is like the people that we have within our organization are our greatest strength. I heard somebody years ago say like the greatest vulnerability in an organization is its people, or like his biggest pain in the ass was the people.
I jokingly say if it wasn't for customers and team members, this would be a great business.
But it's also your team members.
Both of them are your biggest strength, too.
Your team members are your biggest strength in this organization. And for people who think that that's not the case, they're missing that human element.
Branson says that about Virgin. Like, if I serve my people, they're going to serve my customer, right? And Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Records, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Hotels. Like,
And he's done a few things right.
I would like to think so. Dude's a billionaire, so he's done something right. All right, here's my last question. You ready? I'll wait till you take a sip of this bourbon. What gets you up every day?
My dog.
Your dog.
Like 5:30.
Okay, that's literally
5:30. My dog's on the side of my bed,
what-
staring at me awkwardly.
What drives you? Like, what wakes you up? What gets your juices going?
That's a good question. I am incredibly fortunate to work in a family business. There's something about, I call it stewardship. The fact that I have an opportunity to play a leadership role in my family business, and the fact that they have trusted me to make decisions that impact our entire family. I come from a big family. I got like 22 cousins, just on my dad's side, and so I'm with my father and my uncles, and I'm making decisions that impact a lot of people. We now have a second family member in our business, and like that stewardship means far more to me than the paychecks that I get, than anything else. Like, I'm doing this for a greater cause, and that is so motivating to me. And also, it's terrifying because if I make a mistake, I'm hearing about it. I'm hearing about it at Christmas. I'm hearing about it at Thanksgiving. I'm hearing about it every single time.
That's interesting. You guys have Thanksgiving and Christmas in Canada?
So, funny story.
Yeah, this dumbass thing called Boxing Day or something.
You guys don't have Boxing Day?
Hell no, we don't have Boxing Day.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Yeah. That's only a Canadian
I'm
thing.
shocked.
Really?
But here's what I found out. So Canadian
So this is my call of bullshit, I think. Yeah, we don't have Boxing Day.
I actually had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I thought everybody had Boxing Day. I don't even know what Boxing Day is. I mean, I know what it is. It's like
You guys don't have
December
4th of
26th.
July though either.
Because we don't celebrate independence. Like,
Correct.
we have our Canada Day on July 1st.
Really?
Well, yeah, the whole story is that
Yeah,
you
you
guys
ripped it off from us.
But the whole thing is, you guys had to fight for your independence.
Yes.
And we asked for it nicely and got it.
Yes. Well, yeah.
That's like
Hello.
if there is two more like U.S. and Canada things, Canada's like, or Canada, we just went to Britain and be like, excuse me, we'd actually really like to be independent.
Yeah.
And Britain was like,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
How was July 1st, 1867? It's like, that's a great date for us. And you guys were like, fuck you guys.
We're gonna kick your ass. So I don't know if that sounds familiar in today's climate as well, but it sure sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Everybody says Canadians are so nice, and I grew up in Jersey, Philadelphia, New York area, and we're all assholes. I really appreciate you being on here.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. And I knew we'd have fun. That's why I texted you and said, hey, let's do this while you're in town. And I wanted to pick on Canada versus U.S. because it's fun. And
We've had fun together for 11 years in this.
that is true. And I promise you I won't boo your national anthem when I hear it. So, again, cheers.
Cheers.
I enjoyed it. Hey, how do they get a hold of you?
Emails dallen@applestorage.com. And yeah, and I'm all over LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. John Manus, JC Manus, StorSuite.com, 210-818-1496. As I always say, come join the fun because that's what we're doing. We're having a blast. Come on. Oh, wow. Good stuff, guys.